the group and the first time you're like, I thought this is a Christian group, and look at that shirt he's wearing. There's a purpose to the shirt tonight. I'm going to talk about the shirt, why I'm wearing the shirt, why I have the shirt. There was a question about teen confidence. There's a boy, a son, I think he's 16, and he's struggling with confidence. He just doesn't feel confident. So we'll talk about that tonight. That's really important. It's really important that your sons and your daughters feel confident in their teen years. And it's important that you know how to make them feel confident. So I'm going to talk about that tonight. It's not too hard. It should be part of the education. And if he's not feeling confident or she's not feeling confident, there's a reason. And it's not usually a mindset thing. We tend to think, oh, he just needs like more affirmation or more self-esteem, or I need to, like a mom. She wants to come and hug him and tell him, oh, you're great. He doesn't believe you because you're his mom. And so we'll talk about how to build confidence in teens tonight. Is teen confidence. And so often, I see this actually a lot in the homeschool world. Is homeschooling's become more popular and kids are coming out of the public school system and enjoying the homeschool world. It's not quite as much the stigma anymore, but for a long time there was this stigma that homeschoolers were socially awkward. And I've explained many times, like some of it was not true. Some of it was just like because the kids were socially awkward in the school, so they were getting bullied, so they were put in the homeschool world. So like it was kind of true, but not because of homeschooling. It was just like a collection of all the socially awkward kids that are getting bullied in school. So it seemed that way. But there is also like a lot of socially awkward homeschool kids. And I say a lot of it is their parents' fault because they're not properly educating them. Because again, the parents think public school, education, so just the academics, and we make these nice nerds. And it's especially bad for boys, these nice nerds that they create, and they feel like losers at a certain point. When they hit the teen years, they start to feel like losers. They know that they're losers. And you can't tell them that they're not, because deep down inside, they know. There's a scale that they know. We'll talk about what that is. Actually, we'll just get started right now. So teen confidence. So again, we focus on the academics, the math, the reading. We just focus on the nerdy stuff. This book, Power, is so important for kids. We have character, then we have power. This is what your kids need, your teens need. They need the power training, okay? So we cover that stuff. So why would a teen boy not feel confident? Well, he's transitioning, and he needs two things now. He needs to be a man among men. He needs to be respected. He needs to be dangerous. He needs to know that he's strong and he's competent, that he can stand among men and not be timid. And it's not a mindset thing. You can't be like, go in there and be brave and just be yourself. And that's what mom would say. Just be yourself. The kids will like you. And he knows she's lying. That's not true. That's not the way the world is. He's starting to realize that. He feels self-confidence among his peers because in the world of men, there's two things you have to be. You have to be brave and you have to be strong. And if you're not brave and not strong, you feel timid in that group. I'll tell a personal story in a minute to get that thing. So a man among men, and then you have to be able to get girls. It's so important for a 16-year-old boy to know that, be confident with the opposite sex, because he's very interested in that now. He knows, and girls too, they start to realize like it's time to look for a mate. They know that. It's not education time. It's not time for math. Like their body, their biology, their psychology, they understand. Like it's time to start looking for a mate. Time to start thinking about marriage, hopefully, if they've been raised right. But they're going to be looking for a mate or a girlfriend or something like that. And they need that confidence. And if they don't have that, if they feel like girls don't like them or they don't know how to approach girls, that sort of stuff, they feel insignificant. They lose their confidence, and it really starts to affect them. It can lead to depression and all sorts of stuff like that. And then they feel like you have led them astray. They're not cool because of their parents, or they're not understood properly, and they start to resent it because they haven't been properly educated. You've given them all the math and the language arts and all that stuff. That's kind of important, but this is the most important thing right now. Can I get a mate? And they realize that something's lacking, and they'll start to blame their parents and resent their parents for it. And then they'll start to look for a source like outside of the home, outside of and the church is bad too. They give kids horrible advice. And we'll talk about some of the advice that the churches give and the moms give, and it sounds good, but it's not good advice. And so eventually they'll start to detach from their parents and their church, and they'll go to the peers who are getting girls and in the media and stuff, and they can be led astray. So that's really important, you guys. These aren't like small things. You're so worried about whether your kid can do calculus or he's going to get his A's or he can go to college, but like this is really important. Like, can he attract a mate? And does he feel confident among men? Can he stand with men and be a man among men. Really important. These are transitioning from boyhood into adulthood, into man. And we're talking. I said teens, but we're mostly going to talk about boys tonight because that's what was brought up. So we're talking about boys. Now, my story is this. When I was younger, I was super confident kid. I felt like I was tough. I had an older brother, which made me feel cooler and tougher. And I couldn't be picked on because I had this older brother, and he was adopted. So he was actually, I'm a little guy. He's huge. He's a really big guy, big, strong guy. So I had that confidence. I knew I could stand among my peers, and I was safe because I had my big brother, right? Later in life, our family kind of got broken up a little bit, and I didn't have that anymore. And I didn't have like an older brother to kind of teach me how to be cool and stuff. And I started to get interested in girls. This was probably around 3rd or 4th grade. And I realized I didn't know how to talk to girls, and I wasn't cool. Like, there were certain cool kids like that the girls all ran after and thought were cute and everything. And I couldn't understand, like, did they look better than me? Like, what was lacking? Why didn't girls like me? It made me very self-conscious. And part of the problem was I hadn't been properly trained. I didn't dress right. I dressed like a total nerd. I dressed like my dad dressed in the 60s. So I wore these like super short shorts. I'm not sure why. And then when I was in 1st grade, it's horrible. Kids are really self-conscious about their bodies at early age. Like, they understood about nudity. My boy Bennett, the other day, his underwear, we were doing jiu-jitsu, and his underwear got shown a little bit, and he was like horrified and embarrassed and outraged because my other boy called him underwear boy after that. He was like just raging. He was so embarrassed, so self-conscious, right? About that. Well, there was this boy in gym class in 1st grade, and he was kind of like a poor boy, and he was wearing these oversized pants. They were always falling down, and it was showing his butt crack. And I remember these girls giggling, and I was like so humiliated about it. So I would hike my pants up like almost to my rib cage, and I'd tuck in my shirt just like for fear that could ever happen to me. So that's how I dressed. I mean, I would wear these like big oversized t-shirts tucked into my tiny little shorts that went up, halfway up my thighs. And then I wore socks that went up to my knees, and sometimes like onto my knees. I don't know what was happening. Like, my parents should have helped me. Somebody should have said, hey dude, it's not. So anyway, the girls didn't really think I was cool. And I started to realize that around 3rd or 4th grade, like, oh, the cute girls, they don't like me. And then the boys, I really started to struggle with the boy stuff too, because they were playing football and they were doing like playing basketball that was super popular. I didn't know how to do those things. And then I was a small boy. I thought I was tough. It's like that dog, the Chihuahua, is like, oh, I think he's really tough. And then he gets like thrown around. So I got in a few fights at school, and I kind of got beat up. And I was like, man, I'm weak, and the girls don't like me. I'm a total loser. I became really self-conscious. That was in like 3rd, 4th grade. Then in 5th grade, I kind of wised up. I went to a new school in Kansas. We moved to Kansas, and my mom bought me some clothing. Usually I wore clothing that my grandmother bought. I think that was a problem from yard sailing, because my parents were pretty frugal, and so that was probably why I was dressing the way I was. But I got to go to a store and buy some new cool clothes, and I got the right clothes. And then I learned how to be cool. I became a class clown. I was super popular. I went from being like a total loser in 4th grade to being one of the most popular kids by the end of 5th and then in the beginning of 6th grade. And the most popular girl in school. I walked in on 5th grade, and there was this girl. She came in late, and I was new and self-conscious. So I sat at we were in groups. I sat at these 4 desks all by myself. And then like there were 2 other kids that nobody wanted to sit with, so they ended up in my group. And then there's this beautiful girl, and she came in late. And so she had to sit at her desk. It was so awesome. But she sat right across from me. And I remember thinking, I could never get this girl. I was like so depressing. I'm like, this girl would never like me. I'm a total loser. And by the end of the year, she liked me, and we ended up dating. So it's just like, it was like the best year, the height of my popularity. And I felt really confident. Because my peers liked me, the guys respected me, and the girls liked me. So it felt good. Then I go to middle school, and I'm a 7th grader now with 8th graders and 9th graders. And I walk into school very confident. I'm still wearing the stuff that was cool at elementary school. I don't know. Oops. And then I'm at the bottom of the pecking order. I thought I was a tough kid. I got in some fights in 6th grade, and I was tough, My first or second day, there was this kid. He was like a thug. We had these gangsters. It was Kansas. He was like a gangbanger. Not really, but, he wanted to be. And I looked at him the wrong way going into math class. And he was an 8th grader. He was a little older than me, a little bigger than me. And he's like, what are you looking at? And I was like a smart aleck. I was a cool kid from 6th grade. I thought I was still running the school. I was like, oh, I can't tell, or something like, you're so ugly, I can't tell. And I thought that was witty. And some people chuckled. And I was like, yeah. Well, when I came out of class, he said, what'd you say to me? And I was like, I was trying to be cool. I was like, oh, I said you're ugly or something like that. And he pushed me, I pushed him back, and then he punched me in the face and just broke my nose almost, just jacked me up. I wasn't used to punching. We didn't do that in elementary school. So I got beat up in front of everybody. It felt like a loser. And then a few weeks later, there was this girl that I really liked in 6th grade and wanted to date her again when I got to middle school. I thought I'd win her, back or whatever. And she was dating a 9th grade boy, and she's in 7th grade. And so I talked some trash about that kid. I was like, oh, I'm going to beat that kid up, whatever. Thought it was tough. He found out. He called me out in like first period in the middle of the hallway and beat me up again in front of everybody. So I felt like a loser again. And I couldn't get girls. I felt self-conscious. The older guys were taking them. And I realized I'm weak. Like, I'm weak. I'm getting beat up by everybody. So I was a loser again. So what did I do? I started lifting weights. I joined the wrestling team. I became super strong. And I actually went to another school. I went to a different school, moved in with my dad, went to a new school. And now, 7th grade, we didn't have 9th graders, so I was 7th grader, so I was kind of like in the middle of the pack. And I went in towards the end of the year. So really, I started my full years in 8th grader, so I was at the top of the school again. I was wearing the proper clothes. I was strong now because I lifted weights all the time. I became obsessive because I'm this tiny little guy. And I wrestled, so I was strong. I was a man among men again, and the girls liked me, and I felt cool again. And I felt that way for the rest of high school. I kind of figured that out on my own. And I think guys will kind of figure that out on their own. And it's important. I think maybe mom or parents or the church, we think, well, that stuff shouldn't matter. Like you should just be who you are. You shouldn't need to feel tough. And you'll eventually find a girl. But that's really important for a boy at that point. It can be really traumatic when he realizes, like, I'm a loser. And that's how he feels, like, I'm a loser. I'm weak with the boys. They run over me. They're more athletic than me. They're more aggressive than me. You kind of feel like timid as a boy. And then you look at like, yeah, I'm kind of like this nerdy guy. I know all this stuff. Thanks, Mom. Like now I'm just a nerd and they pick on me for that. And then the girls don't like me. And that's the worst part. If the girls don't like you, it's like a deep wound for most boys. So how do we deal with that? And is it important? And how should we handle it? And that's why I'm wearing this shirt, by the way. This is a tough guy shirt. It's like, peace is the burden of brave men, or dangerous, brave men. And I got this when I was in the Special Forces training course. And even that I went through when I was in my 20s. I wanted to be dangerous. I wanted to be strong. Men need that. They need to be dangerous. They need to be strong. They need to be able to stand among men and feel confident. Like, I can stand here. I'm not going to get beat up. I'm not going to get picked on. I can take care of myself. And we don't train our boys in that anymore. In fact, we're the worst. Christians tend to be the worst. We train them to be nice and gentle. We talk about, Christian parents always talk about being a gentle man. It's a horrible word. The gentleman was like a status thing. It was like part of the aristocracy back in the day. And yeah, they were polite and stuff like that, but they were dangerous. They dueled. They defended their honor. They were great soldiers. They believed in this code of chivalry, which wasn't a gentle man. He knew how to fight. He understood the martial arts. It was part of your education. Every boy should understand martial arts. I'm not saying taekwondo or something, but jiu-jitsu, boxing. Like, boys need to know how to shoot and defend themselves and make them confident among men. It's very important that men feel like they can stand with other men as equals, that they can defend themselves. And later on, and that's part of us. That's who we are, because we're going to be the defenders of our family someday. And we need to know that if somebody comes to hurt my family, like, I can rip that guy up. I can fight that guy. It's so important. And nobody thinks about that. We put our kids into soccer, or track, or something like that. We forget, like, that they're going to be a protector of a home, and it's deeply part of us. Men need to understand how to be violent, to be soldiers. It should be part of their education. But because men are mostly raised by women, whether they're in public schools or home schools, because dads are out of the house, they tend to be raised as little gentlemen, little gentle boys. They're little church boys, and they're nice, and they realize, like, they're weak. They feel weak. And those kids in the public school, and it's not good. I'm not saying it's so good in there, but they're bullying, they're fighting, they're aggressive. And then our little Christian boys, they feel intimidated by that. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Like, you teach your son how to fight and do jiu-jitsu. I don't have to be a bully. I don't have to fight and brawl all the time. I have confidence. I know when that guy came at midnight to my house, and he's a big guy he's in his boxers, he's on drugs, and he's ready. He looks like he wants to kill me and my whole family, come through that window. I felt very confident. I felt very ready for this. I was not afraid. I'm like, I'm going to kill this guy if he comes through this window. I'll shoot him. But if I didn't have my gun and that guy came through, I'd kill him with my bare hands. I'll fight this guy. I feel confident. Most boys don't have that, and it's because of a lack of education, because they're being raised by women, and And it's really weird that stuff is, we don't even think about that stuff anymore. The idea of training children, training men to be violent, to be strong, to be a killer. It almost seems wrong nowadays. Even though if they go to the military, we do it, or they become a cop, we teach them, the use of force and stuff, and it's important. And so men feel, a lot of these boys, they feel weak. They feel weak among men, and they're ashamed of themselves, and they lack confidence, and they resent it. So that's one thing. If you want your son to be strong and confident, he needs to do the martial arts. He needs to do wrestling. He needs to do jiu-jitsu. He needs to learn how to defend himself. Yeah, my boys are doing jiu-jitsu at a very young age. Savannah, I thought your boy was older for some reason. Did you have a 16-year-old boy too? I forget. So I actually think that's an important part of the education. I talk about that in Power a little bit. It's actually a part of the education. It should be there. It should not all be academics. Martial arts is part of it. And I don't mean like just taekwondo stuff. When I mean martial, I mean war arts. It used to be part of a noble education. It used to be part of a noble education. You look at the king, the nobility and stuff, they trained in the martial arts. They all knew how to duel. They knew how to use their swords. And they were competent. And they would challenge people to duels if their honor was at stake. And they felt confident in doing that because they've been trained. Our boys haven't. Our boys are a lot of times weak, soft, gentle, and they get run over. And the girls pass them by too, because that's the secret to getting girls. I think, okay, you guys can tell me wrong. This is all girl audience, but they like confidence. They like confidence. And it's like we think, oh, they're attracted to money. Yeah, but they like confidence. Money makes a man confident when he knows I can afford things, I can buy things, I have excess of resources, I can hire people, I can hire a bodyguard to defend me. That's why you have a guy like Mark Zuckerberg. He's probably pretty confident because he's got a ton of money even though he's weak. So money can make you powerful, and girls are attracted to that confidence. Girls are attracted to a strong man that knows he can defend himself and is confident in social situations too. That's another thing. He's good at oration. He feels confident talking to other people. He's not timid or weak or too shy. He keeps his head down. So it's really explaining that to boys. Like, if girls are attracted to confidence, and you can't fake it. You have to be confident. It's not a mindset. Like, you could pat me on the back and say, "Hey, be confident out there, man." But when I go to school and get beat up every day, it steals my confidence. There's nothing I can do. But when I learn how to wrestle and I learn how to fight and I learn how to stand up for myself, I become confident. Okay, it makes me confident, and then that attracts the opposite sex. I think that's how it works. Girls are attracted to confidence, so it's important. We should be training our sons. It's important with 16. Train your sons. Recognize that your sons are probably getting interested in girls. They're thinking about girls. It's a mystery to them. Girls are kind of intimidating and scary for boys. Maybe it's the way for girls too. If there's a guy you like, maybe that's intimidating, a little bit scary too. And we need to help our children transition into that. Of course, set boundaries and stuff, and just talk to them about how it should work, and but properly educate them. But women tend to focus on just be respectful, be super nice. I took some advice one time when I was in 6th grade, and my popularity started to wane at the end of the year from a neighbor girl. She was advising me, counseling me on how to get this girl that I liked. And the girl lost interest really quick. She's like, "You should write a poem." I wrote a poem. I'm so embarrassed. What a loser. That doesn't work. It only works in the movies. So that was embarrassing. She said that I wasn't tan enough. So she convinced me to get this tanning lotion. I have a picture somewhere because we had a family picture taken afterward. And my hands were like orange, and my face, I didn't put it on evenly, so it looks like I have like dirt, like a dirty face and stuff. I did all these crazy things to like try to win these girls' approval. I was getting really bad advice. I needed a man to come alongside me, like, here's how it really works. They don't want poetry. They don't need you to be tan. Like, that's all irrelevant. That's all stupid. They need you to be confident. They need you to be strong. Here's how you become strong, and here's how you become confident. You need to be able to... Oration's so important, guys. Get your kids in the oration club. That'll be soon open to more people enrolled in the academy. Right now it's just a small beta group, but kids need to know how to talk with confidence. They need to know how to walk with confidence, some good posture, stuff like that. This is all important stuff. It's actually part of your kid's education. It should be. And they need to, most importantly, know how to defend themselves, know how to fight, and be strong. They need to know that they're strong so they can stand a man among men. So what happens is, because the church lies, and moms lie, and the neighbor girls lie about what girls really want, they put girls on a pedestal, like girls just care what's on the inside. That is not true. Girls are just as shallow as guys tend to be. Let's just be honest. And because they lie and they try to turn the boy into a little nice boy, like a little gentleman and stuff like that, he realizes that he's not getting good advice, so he'll turn to the media and the peers. And they'll turn him into a womanizer, like a chauvinistic kind of womanizer. Look at the American Pie, kind of genre of movies and stuff like that. Look at James Bond or those kind of guys. Like, these are womanizers. They're really aggressive. They're not gentlemen by any means, but they're strong and they get women. And so guys will start to turn to that, and it'll start to turn them away from the church and turn them away from their parents. So it's a real problem. So you need to tell them the truth about confidence. And you can't fake it. If he's not feeling confidence, that's actually a good sign. It's a sign. It's a warning sign. He knows something's missing. He's lacking something. And it can be the same with girls. So it's not just like a mindset that you change. I hope that makes sense. It's not something you just, we just need to overcome this. Like, well, why are you lacking confidence? If it's a girl, maybe says, well, I just feel ugly or something. Okay. Well, a typical mom or dad to say, oh, you're beautiful just the way you are. Or something like, oh, that may be true. But hey, how about maybe we comb your hair, we style it a little bit, we get you some clothes and stuff like that. Maybe we talk about the role of attraction and remind girls that guys aren't just attracted to beautiful girls. There's so many times when I'd go to a school and there'd be a beautiful girl, and in a few weeks I was like, I'm not really interested in that girl. And then there's another girl I totally didn't notice, and later she become attractive. So you can teach girls that too, like how to become attractive to your mate. It's important even after they get married, and it's not for the wrong reasons. Like, even after they get married, like, you need to know how to be attractive to your spouse. We tend to think of attraction just as sexiness. It's not. It shouldn't be. That's what the world will teach your daughters. When you don't teach them properly how to be attractive towards the opposite sex, the world will teach them to be sexy. Just put some string up your butt and walk around the beach with them, be fit, and yeah, you'll get some guys' attention for the wrong reasons and the wrong type of guy. But there's other ways to be attractive. Guys are very attractive, especially for when they think about a spouse, towards a girl who's modest. There's like they used to teach this stuff in forming schools to girls. I'm telling you, like the aristocracy back in the old days, they'd send their girls to forming schools, and they would teach them before they'd go courting, come of age. They'd teach them kind of the ways to be an attractive, elegant lady that attracts guys. And the gentlemen, I hate the term gentlemen, but the gentlemen were strong. They were well-mannered, but they were confident. And they learned that too. They were formed. They'd go to forming schools. When you go to the prep schools, they teach you that stuff. They teach you how to be confident, posture, all that stuff. How to have a command presence in a room, how to command men, be a man among men. That's part of the curriculum. It's in there. They teach you. When I went to boarding school, prep school, like, it was part of it. They taught me how to be a man among men, and it was part of the curriculum. But we don't even think about that anymore. We're just focused on academics. We're just doing exactly what the public school's doing. And your kids will need that information, and then they'll go look on the internet, or they'll go talk to their friends, and the next thing you know, your son is being a degenerate womanizer, and your daughter is running around half naked, because that's what the world's going to teach her, how to get the opposite sex and be confident in front of the opposite sex, right, and with their peers. Okay, guys, I hope that makes some sense. So the good news is, what can you do? Well, for boys, I would say get them in jiu-jitsu, get them in wrestling. They don't need soccer and track. Sissies run away. That's what we say. Running is for cowards, okay? Even football and stuff like that. At least football is like a more macho sport and stuff like that. But teach your boys how to fight. There's something about jiu-jitsu that gives you confidence. It's one-on-one. You're going out there and you're submitting that opponent. And even when you get beat, like, you understand, like, it's not the worst thing in the world to get beat, and I can come back from that. And then you get in those, or like there's a program called the Young Marines, and they're yelling at the boys, and he learns that not to be intimidated when somebody's yelling in your face and being intense. Like, you don't have to be cowardly and intimidated by an aggressive, yapper, like big mouth, or even a big guy who's in your face threatening, because you know jiu-jitsu, you're strong, you've been in this situation before, it builds your confidence. I highly recommend it, guys. I don't think it's just a sport. You see all these kids are playing basketball, dude, all these sports that mean nothing. Like, a martial art is not just a sport, it builds real confidence in a man. It's very important that men have that martial art so they can be a man among men. It's very important. And it makes you strong. It's a strength sport, a lot of strength. Courage. There's great courage training to go out there by yourself and fight another man on a mat, one-on-one, to submission. And those are things that you can't just teach. You can't just tell your kid, well, just be brave, son. You have to train. I was super brave. I did jiu-jitsu. I did all this stuff. I joined the military. I went to airborne school, jumped out of airplanes. I was terrified my first time because I'd never jumped out of an airplane. It was terrifying. Everybody was terrified. Everybody's afraid of heights. You look down, 1,600 feet. It's terrifying. And you have to just jump out of that airplane. But you train through it, and eventually it's fun. You just it's nothing, and then you look like the hero. You look so confident because you've done it so many times. And the other guy, he's new and he's shaking, and you can just see his eyes. He's sweating. He's he doesn't want to jump. You're dude, what's your problem, man? Don't I look confident now? Come here, dude, jump it out. It's fun. I look super confident, right? I look like a man among men. I look strong, and if girls are watching, man, that guy, he's confident, he's strong. I like that guy. But you get there by doing it. You get there by jumping out of that airplane a ton of times, so you're comfortable with it. With jiu-jitsu, you're confident among men because you fight all the time. You do jiu-jitsu all the time. You're not worried about another guy attacking you. You can defend yourself. That's how you build confidence. In the Young Marines, or they have programs like that, Young Marines, or military school. I had guys, screaming in my face. A grown man, one time, my commandant, or not commandant, he was my company commander. He was attack officer. He's an adult. He was a Marine, former Marine. He's in my face just he was snarling, screaming at me. Anywhere else in the world, they'd be oh, that's horrible. That's abuse. You'll hurt that kid's confidence, and because that's not gentle parenting, right? And it's so funny because if a dad or mom did that, it's abusive. It's horrible. But if you go to prep school and it's a military thing, or you turn 18 and join the military, and they're screaming at your face, and corporal punishment. The military is all about that, corporal punishment. Then it's okay because it's the military. It's not parental authority. It's government authority, right? But at first it's very uncomfortable. Somebody's in your face screaming at you and stuff. But they're doing that to build confidence. So that in that situation where you're in war and somebody's trying to kill you in your face and stuff like that, you're used to that. You've handled this. I've been here before. This guy's screaming in my face. No big deal. I'm comfortable. I've been here before. It builds that confidence. I do this with my kids. I teach my kids jiu-jitsu. I personally teach them, right now they're not in a club. I personally teach them upstairs. It's training my boys to be men. I see it that way. We're not just learning the skill, but I'm teaching them to be men. What happens when you get hurt? The other day, my little boy, he's 8 years old. He got hurt. He got hit somewhere. And he's screaming. He's screaming. 8 years old, screaming and crying and jumping around. And I'm dude, get a hold of yourself. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Grow up. And then I have to explain. Here's what a man does when he's hurt. Have you ever seen a man, he stubs his thumb and he's you never see it. You never see it. Why? Because that's not what men do. Let me show you what a man does when he gets hurt. Because we get hurt. We're not invincible. We get hurt. Here's what we do. You grit your teeth and you walk it off. That's what a man does. And I'm teaching my 10-year-old. I'm teaching my 8-year-old. I've got my 6-year-old in there and my 4-year-old in there. Get control yourself. Here's what a man does. Men need to be led into manhood. They need to understand this is what goes. This is what works in our world. This is how you do it. Okay? Here's how you handle when you get crushed. You go out there on the mat. This guy, he just manhandles you. He's better than you. Do you cry? Do you clap? Do you quit? You run away? That happened to me in wrestling one time. I beat a kid. I wasn't ranked when I went to states because I was in a new state and they didn't, know who I was. So they didn't rank me. So usually they rank you. You take the top guy, put him with the bottom guys so the two top guys don't bump each other out. But I was one of the top guys. And I got ranked up against one of the top guys. And I knocked him out of the tournament. He couldn't get first anymore. And he didn't think I was very good, I guess, because I wasn't ranked as high. But I knocked him out right away. He threw a fit and ran out. He was younger than me, but he was really good. But he ran out and quit the tournament. Just ran out the door. He was a good wrestler, but he didn't know how to be a man. He didn't know how to be a champion. So we're training that. Here's what you do when you lose, son. You lose, you get beat, no problem. You're a champion. That means you get up, you dust yourself off. If you throw a big fit, it looks like you cared so much and you're broken. It looks like that guy broke you. But if you get up, dust yourself off, it looks like you weren't even trying anyway. You're coming back. You'll get him next time. You shake his hand, tell him good job, no hard feelings, and then you go back to the training room and you come back harder and you crush him next time. You get him next time. So I'm teaching my son how to be a man. And I think a lot of boys aren't getting it. They're these little sissy nice boys, and we've been overrun in our society. We have these demonic, transgendered, sex pedophiles dancing in front of children, and men just take it now. They don't know how to be violent anymore. They don't know how to be aggressive anymore. We've been totally overrun. Christian men, they're too nice. They're too nice. We need some warriors. That's that book I'm writing on heroes. I put some warrior kings in there. Like King Richard, the Lionheart. Brutal warrior king. Those are great Christians. We need some of those Christian men now. So, anyway, that's really important, guys. I want to help you. If you're a mom, you're like, well, my dad, he doesn't even know, and their dad doesn't really know, and he's not around much because he's got to work, and I understand that. We want to help you at Blue Manor. We're doing something new with clubs. We're working on it. It'll be out by the end of the summer. And in these clubs, we're going to have fitness challenge because every boy, I don't care, every boy needs to be strong. It's part of being a man. It's not just about knowing your math and your reading and writing and spelling, little nerdy boy education. Part of your education is physical training, and you need to be strong. We'll have challenges like my kids just did the 50 push-up challenge. Colton just did it. He failed the first time because he wiggled too much. He was sad. We had to tell him about coming back strong. But that'll be on Blue Manor Academy. Your kid will be able to film themselves doing their 50 push-up challenge. If they have good form, they submit their picture, their video to go onto the board. If they get the 50 push-up challenge, and then we'll do 75 push-up challenge, and then 100 push-up challenge. We'll do pull-up challenges, right? Your kids can film themselves, send it in, and show that, hey, I did this. Maybe we'll do a mile run challenge or something. But we want to. I know it's online, but we want to fully educate these children. So we're trying to figure out ways to do that. But we're going to help you with that. Your young boy, he's going to want to get his name on the board. He's going to want to pass that 50-foot push-up challenge. He's going to work for it. And all the cute girls on our site are going to see that he did the 50 push-up challenge. He's going to know that. It's so important to have those things for kids. It's not just academics. So we'll put that on the site. We're going to have the courage challenge. I talk about courage training. It's so important. I hope you guys are reading the book. Sometimes I get questions, I wonder. Reading the book, Character, Courage Training. When I went through the military, Special Forces training for the Green Berets, and we went through jump school and all that stuff. You tend to think like, oh, they just recruit guys that are killers, and they whatever. No, they make them killers. They train them. They train them to be courageous under fire. It doesn't just happen. You take a guy off the street and you put him in a combat situation, bullets are flying, he'll curl up in a ball. It's a terrifying situation, and they train courage into you. I know how to do that. I've been through that training. They did everything. They did height training. We had to climb up this called Jacob's Ladder. It's the most terrifying thing for a short guy, too. I was like 30 feet up in the air, and you're standing on a bar that's about this wide. It's scary. They didn't even have safety equipment because it's Special Forces training. And there's a time where you're standing up on this bar. It's like the wind, the whole ladder's like moving in the wind. It's this big, wide thing, and then you're like jumping to the next rung. It was so high. I had to like hop, grab, pull up this little bar, like just get on it, grab it. It was terrifying, right? But they're training us to overcome the fear of heights. Okay, when you jump out of the airplane, I talk about that. They train you little by little to overcome the fear of heights. You start by jumping off a 2-foot platform or 3-foot platform, 10-foot platform, 30-foot tower, 300-foot tower, and then you jump out of the plane. They're training courage to overcome that. Claustrophobia, it's a natural fear. It's a natural fear. Kids are terrified. They get trapped under a blanket. They'll panic. It's terrifying. You have to train that. Train it out of your kids. Make them strong. Make them courageous. They do that in the military. I remember we had to climb through this. It's scary. You had to climb into this tunnel. It starts off pretty wide, and then they pack you in like sardines. You got guys crawling in front of you. You got guys crawling behind you, and then it gets narrower and narrower and narrower. Thankfully, I'm tiny. I would hate to have been like, that was the one time it was good to be little. Well, there's some other times, but you're like a 200-pound guy, and that it's like you're crawling downhill into this tunnel. It's pitch black, and you go downhill, so it's pitch black, and then it goes up, so you don't see the light on the other side, because they want you to feel what it is to be claustrophobic, and to push through that. Okay, the fear of water. They train you in the water. They almost drown you in the water. They get you used to it. Eventually, you guys get used to passing out, almost like blacking out and continuing to work. They overcome that fear of water and the pain, the fear of pain. They train that in you. They intentionally inflict pain, horrible pain, and they have you push through that so you can overcome the fear of pain. That's how they train soldiers. And you can do this for your kids. They should have a curriculum for greatness, part of your curriculum. So we're trying to do that we're going to do these challenges on the site. Confidence, important that boys master something, that they're competent at something. They've mastered a skill, that they're the best of the best in this one area or something. Something they have trophies on the wall for, something, so they feel confident in their skill. They know that they can go out there in the world and compete and win and be the best. That gives them confidence. And when they have all that confidence and they're strong and they have good posture, they dress well. And I'm not saying dress fashionably with the holes on their jeans or skinny jeans, but dress, there's a fashion sense. It's like art. It's timeless. And if you know those principles, you can look sharp at any age, regardless of what the crazy people are doing with the fashion and the purple hair and the holes in the jeans or whatever. And you can look sharp. So boys should learn how to look sharp, strong, confident, and then girls will be attracted to him. If he doesn't moon over them and be a nice boy or whatever, and he's strong, confident, he'll find a girl and he'll feel good about himself. He'll be confident. So that's how you build confidence in teen boys. I thought that's what we were talking about tonight. I guess it might have been a girl that we were supposed to be talking about. But I'll talk about that later with girls too. It's so important. Girls, the same thing. Sometimes worse. They get really self-conscious at a certain age. It's almost worse for girls because they start to be separated by their sex too. So they realize that there's a difference between boys and girls, and boys tend to be stronger, more aggressive, and that can be really intimidating for girls. So they need to learn how to be confident, and we'll help them with that on Blue Manor, and I'll do another talk on that for girls, how to build confidence in your girls, so that they don't feel like they have to run around half naked to get a boy's attention, or to feel like they're cool and all that stuff. Because the world will take that need. Parents ignore it, and they just pat their kid on the back like, you're fine the way you are, son. And then the world takes that need and twists that need and perverts that need, and takes that girl who wants to attract a boy and wants to be liked and appreciated and respected, and they'll turn that little girl into an immodest woman to be nice. And they'll take that boy who wants to impress girls and be strong, and they'll turn him into a brute and a womanizer and a pervert. Okay, that's what the world will do if you don't properly train your children. Okay, I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I hope that helps. We don't want to raise nice boys, nice nerds. We do not want to do that at Blue Manor Academy. It's not about academics, just academics. We want to raise them for greatness. We want our boys to be powerful and our girls to be powerful. And here's the key. This will be out soon. This will tell you how to be powerful. Boys want to be leaders, how to be a man among men. There's no leadership training in the schools. There's no leadership training. It's not a class you could take. It's a lifestyle. You try it when they're very young. You train them to be leaders. My boys are all leaders. They're training to be leaders right now. Every day with their siblings, they're learning command presence. They're learning how to take charge. Sometimes I'm intense. I'll get in their face. And it's so funny because if a dad does it, it's like, oh, that's abusive. That's horrible. But if a coach does it, like, hey, corporal punishment. Go run laps. That's corporal punishment. Physical punishment. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's a coach doing it. But as soon as a parent does it, it's abusive. It's horrible. Gentle parenting, nice parenting. I've seen articles by these morons who are raising our children for failure in the public school system. They say, talking about how you should never raise your voice. You should never get upset with your children. And you're stealing their confidence. They need you to set high standards and hold them and be aggressive sometimes. They need that. That's why when we went to basic training, you should have seen it at the end. At basic training, the drill instructors are yelling at you. And like, it's so funny. I actually had a pretty good time with it because I'd already been through military school, so I was not intimidated. I can tell you some funny stories with it. Make sure I don't want a baby or a 7-year-old make a choir boy. Yeah, you can be a choir boy if you have confidence. If you have confidence. If you can still fight, you can be a choir boy. Who can pick on you? Right? So you can be, that's the cool thing. You can do anything you want. I'm an artist. I write poetry. I write some poetry books for kids and stuff. I'm a children's book illustrator. It's not exactly like a killer. I talk to some of my old friends or Green Berets now, and I'm like, yeah, I illustrate children's books, but that's okay because I went through selection with them, and they know who I am. They know what I'm capable of. I still fight. I still shoot. I'm still a man among men, and I can illustrate children's books. I don't feel emasculated, right? So they can be in the choir, be a choir boy, but a tough choir boy and a warrior, right? Yeah, church boy. Yeah, and that's the other thing. You can be a church boy, and a lot of boys really lose it with the church because the church just seems to be so feminine. It's so much singing, and everything is kind of in the church today. It's not the King Richard. It's not like the Crusades, like the Pope calling, like, go and conquer the Holy Land, like defend the Christians against the Muslims in the Holy Land. Like that was the church back in the day. Today it's like turn the other cheek and be weak and like just like overly tolerant and always understanding and always weak, and men are really turned off. That's why they're leaving the church in droves. It's very emasculating what it's become. But if you raise your son to be a man, he's confident in his manhood. He knows he's strong. He knows he can be aggressive. He knows he can be a killer. He's a defender. He's a protector. He doesn't mind going to church. He's confident. It's usually boys who lack confidence. They feel insignificant that they have to buy shirts like this. Okay, I'm serious. That's probably why I bought this shirt, maybe, because I'm like in Green Beret world and I feel a little overwhelmed or something, right? But and you'll see those boys and they try to exaggerate their masculinity because they're unconfident. They walk like this. They lift weights and they walk tough because they're not confident in their manhood. They're scared. They're not confident, and that's why they act that way. But you raise a boy who's strong and he's confident. He doesn't have to puff out his chest and walk like this and just pick a fight with everybody to prove something. I haven't been in a fight in a long time because I'm confident. I think I don't have to. Somebody yells at me, stuff. I'm okay. I'm not worried about it. I've been yelled at so many times in the military. You can say anything you want to me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, what are you going to do? And if he wants to hit me, like, I'm okay with that. I do jujitsu all the time. I love to fight. I'd love to do that. I'd love to fight. So I feel really confident. So I don't have to wear shirts like this anymore to feel like a man, right? I know who I am. I can go to church and sing songs and still feel like a man. Okay? So that's another reason. You want them to feel confident in their manhood, or they will go looking to be a man, or they'll want the tattoos and the bikes. Like, they're trying to prove that they're a man among men. They're really trying hard. They're going to go lift weights, and they're going to want to join the military for sure, and do all of these things to prove their manhood if you don't lead them into manhood and make them confident in their manhood before they get out of your house, okay? And this should really start at 7 years old, and it should really kick off at 12. That's when you start to hit puberty, and a boy needs to affirm his manhood, and he's interested in girls. And you should be done with this training by the time they're 16 to 18, somewhere around there. And then, of course, you continue to lead them as the parent. But, yeah, don't wait till you're 18. I know this guy I used to work with, and his initiation was, he got his son a Playboy magazine when he was 18, not a Christian, but he was 18. You're like, welcome to manhood. That's typical. Isn't that the world we live in today? Lead your son into manhood, and have rites of passage. I talk about that in character. I think no, maybe it's this one. The importance of rites of passage, like the 50 push-up challenge, but a rite of passage. Like, son, you'll have my respect. Here's what you need to do. So many parents, they're like, they don't respect their kids, and they're always down on their kids, and their kids feel discouraged, and that's their fault. You didn't set it. You didn't give them a standard. You didn't tell them what to do. So I tell my boys, here's how you earn my respect. Here's how you keep my respect. Here's how you do it. Here's how you become a man. I'll treat you like a man when you pass these milestones. You'll be a man. You can come sit with the men now. It's really important you lead them into manhood. Same with moms. You need to lead your daughters into womanhood. Welcome, invite them into your world. They should be hanging out with their 16-year-old friends. Invite them into your world. Show them how women act. Anyway, okay, so that's enough of that. Teen confidence, so important, guys. I think it's really bad. I think it's really bad. You see these kids are suicidal. These teens committing suicide. They're depressed, or they become degenerate. It's because they lack confidence. They don't know what to do. So I think I beat that horse. But if you have more questions, let me know. But guys, I want to help you. I'm building this curriculum on Blue Manor. Please support it. Please support it. We have stuff coming for your teens. I'm almost out of money. Like, this is my last push. I need more subscribers, but I can build this for you guys. I can make it easy. Trust me, I can do it in such a way your kids will want. Your kids will want their name up on the board, like the high dive challenge. I had my kids do that to build confidence, like overcome the fear of heights, and it makes them confident. I had my kids do the rock walk challenge when they were little kids. Little kids, they overcame that. My daughter, she wanted to do that challenge because it's a challenge. Check it off the list, sweetie. Jump off that high dive. She jumped off that high dive when she was like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years old or something. And she was scared. And the first time she jumped, she belly flopped. It was horrible. I made her get back up there and do it. I'm super proud of Audrey. She did it. And we'll put that on the site, and it'll be fun. Your kids will want to do it. The 50 push-up challenge, every boy that's on that site is going to want to do that 50 push-up challenge. Be a man among men. Join the 50 push-up, and then we'll do 75. We'll make these kids strong, right? And then we'll be teaching jiu-jitsu soon. Okay, we'll be teaching jiu-jitsu. It'd be good to join a club and stuff, but I'll teach jiu-jitsu. And even though I won't be interacting with your kids in the room, like, they'll see, hopefully, like, that aggression, and here's how we do it, and they'll start to see, like, here's how a man among men acts, right? Like a military man, that mentality, they'll start to see it, and they'll learn how to fight. And you don't have to be super tough if you can fight. You can win. You can beat big guys and stuff, and you'll have confidence. So, all right, guys, that's it for that. Been going on for a long time. And if you're just starting too, and you're like, what is that shirt? Well, we were talking about men and being manly, and being killers, and being dangerous. And so I thought I'd show you the shirt. This is I haven't worn this shirt in like 20 years. My wife's like, I can't believe you still have that. But I was training to be a soldier. I wanted to be a killer. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be a soldier. And so I got this shirt. I don't have to wear this shirt anymore because now I'm more confident in my manhood. I have 8 kids. I built my wealth up. I've been doing jiu-jitsu forever, fighting, and I'm very confident now. Been doing it for 15, 20 years. So I don't have to wear shirts like this. But when you're insecure, when you're younger, when you're trying to prove something, you wear shirts like this. And that's where your boys are. Just recognize that. And don't tell them, it's okay, just be who you are. Don't tell them to be a gentleman with the girls. Just be nice. Just open the doors for her. Just write her poetry. Girls, you're giving them bad advice. Don't tell them to be a nice boy, okay? Tell them to be strong, be confident, be respectful. Don't get me wrong. Like, whenever I say that, like, I've said that to Christian women, they're like scandalized. Like, oh, he should just be the... I'm like, no, there's middle ground. You don't have to, I'm not saying like be a chauvinistic jerk womanizer, mistreat women. I'm just saying be confident. Don't worship them. Don't moon over them. They don't like that. Be confident. Women are attracted to confidence. That's it. I think. But they won't tell you that. They'll say, oh, girls just care about what's on the inside because they're trying to make themselves feel better. Girls are just as shallow as boys, in my opinion, often, unless they're properly trained and unless parents are involved. It's really parents that are supposed to help pick spouses, because children, when they get Twitter pated, it's a form of retardation, I'm telling you. And I've talked about it. I talk about it in Power, the importance of parents helping pick a spouse, because your girl's she's going to be like, he's cute, or he's going to be popular and she's going to go for him. And it's the parents to be like, yeah, but he's like doing drugs. He doesn't have a job. Like, he has no future. Like, absolutely not. You know, or your boy, he's just going to see some hot girl and she's going to run around naked because she's going to think that's how you attract guys' attention, and you can. And we have to be, as parents, you have to be careful and be like, look, I know she's very pretty and she runs around half naked, but she's not for you. She's not for you. There are other pretty girls out there that are nice girls, and you help them pick a right girl. And if they're confident and they can attract a mate, then they don't have to go with the first person that comes along. And you kids who are unconfident in their manhood or their womanhood, let's say, like, but for a man, he feels weak among the men, and the girls ignore him. The first girl that gives him attention, he's just going to be head over heels for a lot of times, and he'll marry that girl, and she may not be the best one. And same with girls. There are girls that they don't feel as attractive. They don't know how to be confident around boys and stuff like that. And so the first boy that likes them, they just like, oh, he likes me. So, yeah, but he's not a good guy. So parents need to be involved. And that should be part of your education. And I don't want to go through it all again. I just know new people came, but that used to be part of your education. Girls went to forming school, and they learned how to attract the opposite sex. And not just for marriage, but after you're married. Like how to behave in a way that your husband will continue to respect you and be attracted to you and love you. And it's not just about being pretty, because, you know, you might be, 60, 70, 80 years old, and there's only so much you can do, but you still need to know the art of respectability. Elegance is what we call it. Elegance. Being elegant. An elegant lady. Men are attracted to that. And being a strong, confident man. You could be 70, 80 years old and still be a strong, confident man and have your woman's respect. And be attracted to her in that sense, even though you're not hot anymore. Okay. All right, guys, I'm done.